Alrighty, we are 4 minutes past with only 3 cores of the grid in. As per usual, as per usual. Just pulling up the Discord, see what the delay is. I have no energy to race. Alright, fuck you, weak ass. This is an awful idea to have 77 hosts. He's literally in a different continent from everyone. You got this, baby girl. Okay. Well, this'll be interesting now, won't it? It looks like we are swapping the host. And host went to Taylor McKenzie. That's something. Alright, so during that snack break, it seems that 77 has turned racist and quiet Frenchie. And the Frenchie told him to watch it in turn 1. I'm gonna do shit on purpose, that's the Frenchie. Alright. Well, this is gonna be one hell of a Xanvort. See how many people are in the lobby now. iRacing Noob has decided to noob out and not join. Oh, are we starting already? I didn't think that we had everyone. Okay, yeah, we're loading in. Shit, hold on. Let me put my beer down and pull. Oh, and I misclicked. Yeah, shit. Hold on. Now my video editing software is loading, so I misclicked. Close that. Open that. Shift Y. There we go, there we go. We have our controller. How many people were in? Last I saw there was 12 and 16 checked yes. Wow, 12. Either people are gonna join late or I don't even know. Damn. Okay. I'm wondering. Yeah, no, 12. Good old Zandvoort. I absolutely despise this track. I've learned to love it a little bit more now that I'm picking up some pace and working on subs because before I wasn't driving it with doing setups and stuff on my own. And Zandvoort is one that you have to. I'm learning to like it more, but it's some people's favorites, and it's certainly not mine. As we see, Quad's heading out first. Quad's teammate iRacing Noob signed a bitch out and not participate tonight, and he won't be doing 3 races in a row. Missed Hungary, missed Zandvoort, and he's going to miss. Shoot, what's the next one? I looked for the next one, and now I can't remember it. It's Netherlands, not Hungary on your stream name. Oh, W. I mix those two up all the time. I can't lie. I cannot lie. I mix those two up a lot. I mean, they are pretty much similar track layouts, and I have equal hate towards them both. At least the hate is equal and not unequal. Mint's not the second one to jump out. Iceman, his reserve teammate, was the second one to jump out. Quads will be by far the first person to set a lap time for the first time tonight. So he heads around the bait curve. He will look to cross the start-finish line for the first time. Zandvoort, a very large banking track, difficult to get a setup comfortable as your suspension is moving about a lot more frequently than usual, so you have to drive it a bit differently and carry a lot of momentum into these turns and have faith you're not going to lose the front end. Quad so far looking to have a pretty neat lap in his hands. Yeah, I'm not quite sure why he put it up to 8th through there. Typically I avoid that and leave it through 7th as he comes down, drops to 3rd, hits the curb, gets on the power as much as possible with a ton of lateral motion. The Aston Martin looking pretty pointed tonight. Like I said, the lone Aston Martin for tonight's running. So he comes around the last couple of turns. He might have a bit of a slipstream from the kick sauber back on the main straight. As the kick sauber of Iceman. Once again, we have both Iceman in the lobby. 12 people, and 6 of them are Iceman. That's a statistic for you tonight. 1:09.3 is the time to beat so far. And it will be other Iceman who will set the second time. He's not on an invalidated lap and has a shit ton of ERS to deploy on the banked curve. So we'll see where he puts the Alpine. Is my mic off? No, it's registering the audio. That might be an issue on your end, Taylor McKenzie, as Iceman goes behind Quads with a 10-6. He tried unmuting the video. Joseph 8-6 in the Red Bull. Yeah, it's definitely picking up my mic. I'm looking at it on my software. That man, a 119, very, very strong from that Red Bull, putting the field in a Red Bull sandwich. Outcast with a 9-7, sliding in behind Quads with Lone and Mint, both jumping Quads, hitting the 108 times. 2 cars still yet to come out. Taylor McKenzie in the Lone McLaren once again, and Baja in the Mercedes. Baja the only Mercedes, as Deathwing doesn't appear to be here tonight. Let me just double check since Taylor's got me geeking out about my mic, make sure it's working. Pull up YouTube on my phone. Yeah, no, it's something on your end, Taylor. You definitely have YouTube muted or something. Two drivers on a hot lap now. F4 and Mosi. F4 looking to round off their lap. You all good, bro? At my end, yep, I said that about 4 times now. F4 making his way through Sector 2 as it stands. F4 also saying he has 5 different setups to choose from. Damn. F4 said rain, but I'm not quite sure if there is. See, comes across the final corner. He's looking into the pits. No, he is not. He crosses a line. 108.6. So far, 5 drivers have entered the 108s. That man did his second lap time and found himself on to the 108 times on a scrub set of tires. Very nicely done from the Red Bull, putting the top of the field in a Red Bull sandwich. Very, very close as it stands in the top. The midfield a bit more far stretched than usual. This could also be because of the fact that we have almost half the field that we usually do. Baja on a hot lap now in the Mercedes for the first time. Mosi finished his lap with a 1:10.9 behind both Icemen. Tim McKenzie comes out to start their lap now. The square-ended corners is definitely not one of my favorite areas of the track. It looks like Baja got through there quite splendidly. And his Mercedes, so we will see what kind of time he can set. A few less battery percentage on the Mercedes compared to other cars. Other cars carrying almost 50% coming into this banked corner, and he was at about a third. So he flashes it on and off. Not quite sure if he's going to be able to burn it all by the end of this lap, and he will not. And he sets a 9.3. I believe he definitely could have found more time had the ERS been managed a little bit better there at the end of that lap. He did not have enough in the bank compared to his reserve. Might have done 2 laps there too. Not quite. As we have our, as per usual, lag fest in the beginning of quali. Again, still have no idea why it decides to do this, but it does. Only in quali and certain areas. As Taylor McKenzie with a bit better battery management might find themselves ahead of the Mercedes, and they don't. 10-0 for the McLaren behind the Haas of Outcast. Large gap from P8 to P9 with 3/10 between them. Typically, we see 3/10 between 3 cars. Now we're only seeing it between P8 and P9. Quads and Baja both on very similar times with only 4/10 between the two. Joseph out for a second hot lap in the Red Bull, the current provisional pole sitter as it stands, as we finally have our frames back. Very nice Red Bull fitting helmet in that Red Bull. So he lets through an Aston Martin. He looks to have aborted this lap and waited for another attempt. Sorry about the pings. This is a group project that me and pinged for, so I kind of need to pay attention to that. So Joseph goes to set a second lap of his session. He aborted his first attempt, so this is on a slightly scrubbed set of tires. But as we saw from that man, you can definitely find some time in them. Red Bull looking very nicely positioned, and for once in a while, we are seeing a Red Bull without the white livery. I think that man runs the white livery. So we're seeing a proper red-blue Bull. So he comes through Sector 2. He does have his teammate ahead of him, which might play for a little bit of slipstream at the end of the lap. We will see if they set that up properly or not. Do see that man just ahead at the end of this little back straight. Possibly one of the weakest back straights on the calendar here at Zandvoort. You see that man directly ahead of Joseph now. This should be a perfectly placed slipstream for the Red Bull pair. So they come across the bank corner and cross the line. Joseph looks to have found a 10th and some change and puts himself with an 8.5. His teammate now ahead, starting his lap. That man giving his teammate a slipstream, able to find some time. Now it is his turn to answer. And that man in the 8s needs some time to find if he wants to take pole position from his teammate without the help of a slipstream. That man, the only one in the top 5 currently on a hot lap. F4 coming out for their second lap. Joseph, the only one yet to do 2 laps. Back Iceman and the Alpine is on a hot lap for themselves. Alright, that man picking up a cool rock that he found on the apex. He'll certainly bring that to his favorite mechanic when he comes into the pits. So he comes across the bank corner. We'll see if he can answer. Hogging the inside nicely, just like F4. He crosses the line. Does not find any time. He's almost a 10th down on his own time there. Certainly that lucky rock did not help him. So McKenzie comes out ahead of Lone Fiber from the pits. Lone in a very nice matching red and white helmet and the red and white Ferrari. Opting for the high line through the original banked curve. Makes their way through-ish. Nope, the McLaren does not let the Ferrari through as of yet. And there they go, they swap around. F4 on their second hot lap, and the straight red Ferrari in a black and green helmet coming across the banked curve now with a proper ERS matching up as he hugs the inside, crosses the line, takes pole position from Joseph by a 10th of a second. 600ths is the gap between them. The Ferrari of F4, our provisional pole sitter. Looking back now, it seems to be Outcast the only driver on a lap as Jesus has joined the session. Our Messiah is here with time to do a lap. Lone Fiber starting their lap as well as the McLaren of Taylor McKenzie. Lone Fiber looking to bring points to Ferrari. Looking back now on Outcast lap. This surely is a glitch, as we see his battery has been somewhat depleted, but his battery to spend is full. Never seen that one before. Not quite sure how that's happened. That is actually really... Or maybe... Oh, they might have just finished the lap. I think that's what it is. They might have just finished the lap. That would make sense. So we missed their lap. Lone Fiber, though, we have not missed. Lone Fiber deploying a fair amount before the final sector and final couple of corners. We'll see where that puts the Ferrari. As he comes to the bank corner, oof, rode a bit too much curb and almost lost the car. Might have lost a bit of time there, but they will hold it out to cross the line with a 06. They found almost a 10th of improvement, put the Ferrari in P3. Taylor McKenzie now to cross the line as iRacing Noob has joined after being slandered just a little bit too much. Taylor McKenzie might have found some time, I think they were on a 10.0 like 6 or something, and now they're on a 10.00. Really trying to get to that 10.0 flat. Jesus in the pits after joining late. And we'll soon see iRacing Noob in as well. Smith comes out for their lap. Iceman in the Alpine looks to be on a hot lap. Coming in a bit aggressively compared to other drivers. Couldn't carry as much speed through that corner, but we'll hold it out. They look to possibly have Mint ahead. Mint possibly giving him a slipstream on accident or on purpose. We have seen the Alpine team games before. We might be seeing them again, and nope. I think we might have said that in Britain, and they have done it again. So we see lots of drivers now on an out lap. Quite interesting that they're all out now. So we'll see if they are able to get a third lap in. I don't think they will, but certainly get a second lap. iRacing Noob seats himself in the Aston Martin. As Iceman comes across the line in the Alpine, he finds 4/10 of improvement. But like we said, because of that large split, he has not gained any positions off of 4/10 of an improvement. That's absolutely disastrous for the field. Like I said, large split here tonight. Mitt now on a hot lap, as well as Joseph. Mitt opting to only do 2 laps, where Joseph has done 3. So we will see if Mitt in this Alpine can find enough time. He does have his teammate ahead, so it might not have been a slipstream for Iceman, but oh my goodness. Alright, I'm going to stop saying that Alpine is setting up team games to do slipstreams, because every time I do, they just let each other through. Alright. As Mint makes his way through his teammates, he's looking to try and take pole position. As he comes to the end of Sector 2, he is up by almost 2/10, but it won't be enough for pole position. It will be enough for a couple of positions, but he still needs to find just a tad bit more time if he wants to take pole position. Squatting it nicely on the curve, tucking it to the inside. Actually goes a fair bit more outside than we have seen previously. A bit of ERS left in the tank, and it is P2 by only 1/100th of a second. We said he needed a tad bit of time, and he just couldn't find that tad bit. P2 for Mint as it stands. Joseph still on a lap, looking to round it off now. Actually, no, looking to start it now. Looks like he might have invalidated his first one or something, and is going for a possible second. Mint critically saving a set of tires for the race will be excellent for him. Mint, if he felt like it could do a second lap on a scrub set, but it would be ill-advised. Back 3 on outlaps, looking to start their first lap in just a moment. So Joseph does a purple sector 1. 4 on a lap, and the Ferrari ahead or behind? Not quite sure which one it is. I think it's the one ahead. It is not. It is the Ferrari behind Joseph, as Joseph is up 2/10 on his time. This will take a clear provisional pull for him if he can stick it. As we say that he has a mega slide on the rear end, losing the traction out of the corner. Coming through the bank corner, he has plenty of ERS to deploy. And we'll see where he puts that Red Bull. Still a fair amount of ERS. The driver's not able to deploy enough. A 0819 is the time to be for F4. We'll certainly be looking at that with disdain. Drivers possibly needing to deploy a bit more sooner throughout the lap. So a lot of drivers are finding a lot still left in the tank by the time they cross the line. F4 giving it his all. See if he can take pole position. He does not. He only finds barely a 1/10 of a second. Lone Fiber and I That Man, only drivers to possibly answer to Joseph's time. As we look on board, Lone into the pits. I That Man behind his teammate going slowly has also ended his lap. Quads could possibly, if he found it. Oh! Okay, we are just dishing out commentator's curse tonight. No one clipped that. No one clipped that. Okay, we've done commentator's curse 3 times already tonight. Let's go to iRacing. Let's go iRacing. iRacing to the 9.6, as well as Jesus doing a 9.6, both of them only completing 1 lap. Let's go to Taylor McKenzie. Are you gonna die? Nope, they survived. Iceman? Is Iceman gonna survive? As Taylor McKenzie goes P9 with a 9.4. My goodness. I feel bad for Quads on that one. I just cut right to him and he put it in the wall. Cut to both Alpines and they just let each other through after I said they might be playing team game, and Iceman into the pits. That is some unfortunate luck. So pole position goes to Joseph in the Red Bull, followed by F4 in the Ferrari, and Mint following up P3 in the Alpine. Will be a tight battle for P2, I think, with Joseph clearing the field if he can get away cleanly. Almost 2/10 the gap to P1, almost a full 1/10 to P2. Racing saying that he's happy after doing no practice for this race. Both kick hours finding themselves on the back foot, P13 and P14. And 77 that they're restarting the lobby. Well, there goes anyone doing setup stuff. Can easily get away with a new setup. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Just saying. As safety car, I guess, was messed up, they had it on broadcast rather than immersive. And in this league, you damn sure better be aware there's going to be a safety car. I think this would be a good time to open our other beer. But did Nitro get in the session? Also, I'm not sure why everyone's leaving this session. We could have just retired after the race start, and it would have been fine, and no re-invites would have had to gone out. So now it's going to take us an extra 10 minutes to get going. Oh, I got pinged. '77 saying that he's pretty good with his setup, as that was 3 times past his personal best. Me asking him where pole position was, so he did not take it. That last ping, I actually have no idea where it came from. It's pretty cool. Let's see how long it takes them to invite the commentator. So now we will wait once more. Oh, okay. Go ahead and put on the pause screen. Oh, we're taking a pause. Oh, that's old. My bad. That one's old. I forgot to refresh that. Forgot I changed my pause screen keybinds. That's the new pause screen that shows the recap of the championship. That's after round 4 Monaco, and that needs to be after round 6 Hungary. I forgot to update that pre-stream. Was, however, going to turn up game audio. What is up? We are just waiting for the lobby to refresh after someone screwed up and accidentally put on safety car to broadcast. So they're having to redo the lobby real quick. We already got through qualifying. We already have our grid order. We're just waiting to run up the race. For some reason the lobby is set to F1 World cars and not real cars. And they finally switched it correctly. We only had 12 of our 15, 14 drivers? Which 2 are we missing? McLaren. Oh, there's one. Not sure the one that we're missing. Quads? Yeah, it's quads. Why are we missing quads? Where did quads go? We replaced a single Aston Martin for another. Let's go ahead and take it off that screen so it's inaccurate. Oh, and that plays all the text at one time. Cool. Oh wait, no, we're actually missing 2 because Nitro is still on driver, not spectate. So we are missing 2. quads in all caps asking for an invite. Why did bro PM me this? Or at me with this? And then he deleted it. Okay. Still struggling to get 2 drivers in. See if we can grab a snack without waking the cat up. And quads had restart his game. Nice. This happens when you moon the lobby instead of just having everyone retire at the race. Where is Deathwing? Is he online? No. Did we sign up for today? Oh yeah, he said not racing. Rip. I'm so confused as to the one other driver that we're missing. Alright, let me look at the qualifying sheet. So we have Joseph. Okay, so there's quads. We have 2 Red Bulls. So it's neither of the Red Bulls. We have 2 Ferraris, neither Ferraris. Alpine. Do we have both Iceman? 1 Iceman? No, we're missing the other Iceman. Why are we missing the other Iceman? Is he in the race still? Is Iceman in that race that everyone loved? No shot, right? Yeah, it's 100% the Iceman for Alpine. And he's offline now. That's cool. What the hell? Do you think that like everyone pranked him or something? So by now we could be on lap 8, 7 or 8 by now. And he says that he has to sit this one out. Okay. Finally getting the ready up message. It is 39 minutes past the session start time with 17 minutes of quality, isn't it? That would put us around 8:20 with delays to race start, and we're 20 minutes past that. Nifty. And not enough people have readied up to start the session. Cool. Let's see if we can finally get into the race, huh? Alright, so we're finally lining up on the grid. Drivers will have free reign over setups and tires this time. $77 calling out Outcast and not ready up this time after he did the last like 3 times in a row. And we aren't getting into the thing yet, so I guess that means that no one has hit ready up yet. We are at 42 minutes past the original session start time, and we almost have 5 red lights on. And we're being told to wait an additional 4 minutes till. I say fuck that. Someone hit ready up. Come on now. 47 past. Are you joking? Go Aston? I'm tempted, man. I'm tempted. Quads and iRacing, they're just not cutting it. They're just not. I could go Alpine since the other Alpine wasn't there. And we have 5 lights for the formation lap. It only took 44 minutes. Joseph opting for the white Red Bull this time. What an ass. And Baja carving through the field is now running P2 on the formation lap. Not quite sure why Baja in P8 is now P2 on the formation lap, but he is. So you get on a formation lap, I suppose. iRacing Noob starting on the edge of points with his teammate Quads ahead of him on the formation lap. Quads starting P6. Both of the Kicksaubers bring up the rear, P13 and P12. One in the Iceman in the Alpine, making my job easier and not participating in the race. Meant now the sole Alpine scorer will be starting P3, looking for at least P2, if not P1, if they can put the pressure on Joseph throughout the race. Joseph showing very strong pace, will have to be challenged for P1 for anyone's chance at that position. Some possible race strategies all show two-stop situations. I have not done a 50% race around Zandvoort because, as I say, this track sucks. So I have no idea the tire strategy. I do know the heat-up strategy from this formation lap. We have a broad gap to the cars with iRacing Noob, or no, Quads all the way at the back for this formation lap. They're definitely waiting for guys' tires to dry out and get cold. As we see Taylor McKenzie? No, that is Jesus all the way at the back. Mint restarting for some fresh tires. Don't usually see that from Mint. We usually see it from F4. Mint first to the grid. Oof. F4 with the big lock will probably be doing his good old DSQ as well. So we finally see cars lining up on the grid for the race procedure start. Bringing up the far rear looks to be an Aston Martin. Again, the possible race strategies. That's pretty nice. It's actually a different strategy now this time with a 2-stop and a 3-stop. Like I said, I don't know the possible strategy for this race, but just know that there will probably be a safety car. So we slowly have the Aston Martin creep into position. We'll get some lights on. And we're waiting. There we go. And we have cars revving, 5 lights on, and away we go. It looks to be a good start from F4 to start this journey through Zandvoort. Mint with pressure from Lone behind. We have some sends already into turn 1 from the Aston Martin pairs. Mint dropping back from the top 2, was at threat to Lone Fiber behind, but has stuck it out. F4 gets past that of Joseph to start the race. That is exactly what F4 will be looking for to get P1 from him. Baja looking to challenge that man for P5 as it stands. Taylor McKenzie and the McLaren looks to be putting pressure on as well. We'll go ahead and pull up the HUD so that way we can get the correct names from the drivers off that start, as they do like to get jumbled up. Quads with a good start, holds out for P5 over that by that man falling to P6 at threat to Baja behind. Baja looking for a position to get by. Go ahead and take a look at the tires for everyone. Everyone running the mediums except for last place of Iceman in the Kicksauber. Everyone getting away quite cleanly so far. No one has put it in the wall or gone off track yet. That is a rare sight to see. As ending lap 1, everyone is within a second of one another. It is too wide as Lone Fiber and Mint. We saw Lone putting the pressure on the Mint into turn 1, and they are doing so again down the main straight. It looks to be that Mint might be running some lower wings compared to Lone Fiber, as Lone had the position to go side by side, but down the straightaway just had nothing over that Alpine. Now hunting them down, Quads and the Aston Martin, with his teammate still P10, iRacing unable to find any positions as of yet. We'll go ahead and check out the positions changed off that race start. As like I said, there wasn't actually many had. Outcast losing out to 2, that man dropping 1, Joseph losing 1 to F4, and the Kicks swapping around position. Quite unusual from this grid, but we do have a fair few amount less drivers in today's race. Joseph now, or F4 now at threat to Joseph behind with DRS. Lap 2, and almost every single driver is within DRS of one another, the only one being the Kicksauber of Iceman, which now switches to the Kicksauber of Moski. We'll see if we can cross the line with everyone in DRS. It looks to be, I will count it as such. Joseph looking for an early move down the main straightaway on F4. It's an easy roundabout move with no fight from F4 there. Joseph now looking to just pull away from the Ferrari, meant taking the pressure off himself from lone behind. All drivers seem to be settling into a pace, and this might be playing out to a strategy game. Meant slowly closing the gap to F4 now. F4 still holding on to the back of Joseph. Falling off the back of the field is the Kicksaubers and the McLaren of Taylor Mackenzie. iRacing will be wanting to get by Taylor and hang on to the front field if he wants to score some good points with his teammate. F4 now the driver to answer with the DRS for the lead of the race. Meant will be hoping they fight hard enough to pick up a position off of them. We'll see how this plays out as we come to the main straightaway in a couple turns time. So we head to the heavily banked corner of Zandvoort. F4 comes down the big section. He is not only on the slipstream as strong as he could be, but looks to have the move done on the inside of turn 1. And it seems to be Joseph is able to fight as he sticks it around the outside. Taylor Mackenzie and Outcast fighting for position out back are too wide through turn 1. But these two for the lead of the race are swapping hand in hand for the lead. F4 looks to have just edged out with the lead so far, but Joseph has saved his battery to fight back. Out back, Outcast has gotten through Taylor Mackenzie and them dropping 1.7 off the cars ahead. Like I said, iRacing Noob will be looking to get by as quickly as possible, try and catch the front of the field as he makes a very good move through a rough section as he goes off track. Loses out to both McLarens off of that. He looked to have had the move done very cleanly and is now fallen off 2 positions. He'll be needing to pick up the pace to make up for that. Quads at threat to eye that man behind now as he is out of DRS at the cars ahead, and Quads is tucked in nicely behind with Baja following through. Joseph now looking to answer back on F4. It looks to be a game of leapfrog to the end of this race. Mint looking to catch the slipstream of the cars ahead to defend from the Ferrari behind. Mint putting the pressure on F4 into turn 1, backs out a bit early as Joseph retakes the lead of the race. Quads and I that man still hanging on to P5 is Quads as the Kicksaubers rotate positions once more off the back of the field. Baja looking for a move on the Red Bull down the inside. He didn't have it, already seeing some wear on the front tires of that Mercedes. Baja looking for the move, just didn't have it. That is a very tricky turn as both the low end and high end are almost the same amount of speed and time to carry through. So it ends up being pretty equal going side by side. Lone still looking to pick up the position off of Mint to bring home a Ferrari double podium. Out back, eye that man on the back of Quads. We see a fair amount of degradation on that Red Bull ahead as well. Let's go ahead and check in on Quad's degradation. It looks to be a little bit better than the 2 cars behind. They've been struggling behind them. As F4 is a ways off of Joseph this time around the main straightaway. Joseph finding some more pace on those tires might be coming into play better. Looks like into turn 1, the top 4 will get through single file without a change in hands as that man goes around Quads in the inside and back to the racing line before the braking zone has moved done. Jesus gets through his teammate in the McLarens as iRacing Noob once again looking to get through Taylor Mackenzie and hold on to the position this time. Might be struggling with some tire wear. Like I said, I'm not quite sure as to the strategy here, but they have certainly dropped off the back of the top field as it stands. Top 4 still holding out single file. This is definitely what Joseph would not like to see. He would like to pull away as quickly as possible to not be a threat to any strategy calls. His teammate 1.4 off the back end of this fight. Just got through Quads and might be able to make up the time. Notably, Baja is 1.8 off the back end of Quads. Not sure if he had a mistake or fought Quads too hard and fell off. But he is now at threat in the lead DRS car to the pack behind and is needing to close that gap if he wants to get some more positions. Back up ahead, still single file through turn 1. By that man trying to catch the cars ahead. Quads not able to catch, and Baja at threat to Outcast after a possible mistake or fight. So you go wheel to wheel through sector 1. It looks to be Outcast pushing around the Mercedes a bit much, and Baja holds on to P7, puts the Haas wide, and the Haas goes into the McLaren. Jesus now at threat to his teammate behind. His teammate might be looking to stay behind for position as he knows his teammate's faster, but that puts him at threat to iRacing Noob, who is tucked in properly onto that Mercedes now. He looked for the move and knew it just wasn't quite there yet. Definitely could have sent it, but he was probably playing cautious after he did make the move in that area and then threw it off track. Baja now 2.5 off of quads ahead after that fight with the Haas. He might be struggling with tire degradation and is not able to keep the tires in a good zone. As quads is the first car into the pits, followed by absolutely no one as it stands. Jesus takes position over the Haas of Outcast into turn 1, is now next in line to fight Baja. iRacing still holding out behind Taylor McKenzie and is staying in P10 as it stands. This is definitely not the race that he would be looking for after opting in last minute. Single file is the top 4. A possible undercut could be vital for the win here. Quad's probably looking at the 2-stop. We'll go ahead and see what kind of tires he strapped on. He did take the hard tires. Taking the hard tires from lap 8 to lap 36, you're going to do 18 laps? I don't think so. I think he's on a 2-stop. I think he banks on his safety car later on and pits on the mediums or another set of hards. Baja still the lead car of this DRS train. 0.3 is the gap behind. He will be at threat into turn 1. As we see Mint and Lone both into the pits. As we saw Mint do a front lock into the pits, picks up a time penalty of 10 seconds. That is critical to his finishing position, especially with a tight top field. As Jesus went down the inside, Baja was able to get on the brakes a bit better, but they still hang out too wide going through sector 1. Baja just stays out ahead. He does seem to have a better car through turn 1 than other drivers. That is absolutely abysmal for Mint's race, picking up that 10-second time penalty to locking those front tires into the pits. That's the first time that we have seen that from Mint. It really puts to show how bad these tire conditions are already. Outcast on the back. Oh, Jesus, looking for revenge. iRacing Noob still unable to attack Taylor McKenzie, who is in this DRS train. Outcast, who is absolutely charging a crap ton of ERS behind these two, might be looking for a move here quite quickly, as Baja and the McLaren behind are both on pretty similar ERS battery. As F4 is into laps on lap 10, Joseph stays out. Baja and Jesus did not go in. He led his teammate Taylor McKenzie into the pits. Baja's into the pits. Taylor McKenzie 10 seconds, as well as F4. F4, Baja, and Taylor. The car is pitting this lap. Jesus sending a dummy into the pits, and TTV Outcast was following and opted out with Jesus. iRacing Noob now looking to pull away with these three to possibly overcut Baja and Taylor McKenzie. Not quite sure if the overcut will work under this condition, but we will see if Jesus has the pace and was locked up behind Baja. They could also go long. Like I said, it's going to be rough to try and get a one-stop to happen, but there's always the one driver who will try. Unless, of course, there's a safety car, which surprisingly everyone is kept on track as it stands. Looking ahead, Joseph is leading comfortably for the first time this race, and possibly the last, depending on this pit window and how it goes, as Joseph is into the pits, 6 seconds ahead of his teammate, I That Man staying out nonetheless. Could have definitely double stopped, but That Man going long. Jesus trying to catch up. There he is, into the pits. iRacing Noob into the pits. The only one not is Outcast and That Man. Iceman goes up through. He did start on the hard tire compound, so that does make sense. So where does the overcuts and undercuts land drivers? Mint comes out behind F4 with the lone fiber right on his tail. Mint on the 10 seconds, crucially. Joseph has been undercut by every single driver in the top 4. That is abysmal to his race. That is tragic. Like I said, the overcut might not be the play, and that is showing in this top 4. As Joseph went through the pit window, P1, and comes out P4. Has definitely not a good look. Like I said, there will be another stop probably from these drivers. As I do think we see Joseph on the mediums. Yes, we do. Joseph and Jesus are the only cars onto the medium compound tire. So that is definitely interesting to see as F4 makes its way through. Iceman in the kick Sauber. He will look to pull away as much as he can. Mint the next car to make a move on him. Iceman probably not wanting to put up too much of a fight to these guys, so they are not his race. As That Man comes into the pits, like I said, will probably be undercut by drivers behind. Behind Quads went through Baja. I can't remember if he was ahead or not. Baja stays ahead of Taylor and Jesus. iRacing Noob is P12 as it stands, with Jesus and Taylor ahead. Taylor undercutting his teammate Jesus, who is looking at the move done right now down the main straightaway. And he does. So That Man comes out a hair ahead of Baja. Yeah, the gap's almost 2 seconds, and now it looks to be just over 1 as Joseph gets through the first of the 4, which is a lone fiber. Looked to be a very nice move there, one that iRacing Noob had tried in the similar position and threw it off track shortly after. Not quite sure how that had happened. Just a poor setup into the corner to make the move. Critically, Outcast is taking these tires quite long. He might be looking at a possible 1 stop, dare I say? 12 and 24, twice as many laps on the hard tire as the medium? Not quite sure what his plan is, but he has the provisional race leader F4 2 seconds behind, with his gang of P1 to P4 behind, as Outcast stays out. Looking back, Mint in the DRS of F4 looking to defend from Joseph behind. Joseph setting the fast lap of the race, closing that gap quite well to Mint. Either those mediums are firing very nicely, or he has some crazy low wings that he's able to drive this track on. It's a bit of a front lock going into the turn. He has an incredible exit over Mint down the inside. And is still looking to get his car side by side with him, but just can't, heading into Sector 2. He has pushed Mint to the brink and has put him ahead, or not ahead, but to that of F4. And during this commotion, Lone Fiber has spun it through Sector 1 as Joseph makes a clean move down the inside of Mint. Mint looking for a switchback on him. Can't find it. The Red Bull is ahead for a provisional P2. Not quite sure what had happened to Lone there, but that is absolutely deadly to Ferrari's chance at a double podium. iRacing Noob also 2 seconds off the back end of both McLarens. Through the pit window, he was within the DRS quite well, and now he is completely off the back of them, as F4 has just again tried banking it off the corner, and in doing so has lost a position trying to hold a lot of speed over that of Joseph. I believe that was a Monaco-esque move that we didn't really see as the camera angle wasn't really there, as Iceman is into the pits. F4 looking to do a desperate defense has lost himself a position as Joseph retakes the race. We thought it might be a tall challenge for him. The only challenge put up was from Mint, as F4 did sign his own death warrant and is quickly falling off the back end of Joseph as Mint is closing the gap behind. Tim McKenzie holding on to the back end of Jesus very well. Both the McLarens pulling away from iRacing Noob in P10. And Quad still holding out to P5, 5 seconds off of Outcast, who is yet to pit. That Man on the back end of Quad. Somewhere in there, Quad's got through That Man. We missed that somehow. Baja 3.3 off them through the pit window on the exit of it. He was only 2 seconds off. Actually, 1.3. Interestingly enough, tonight it seems some drivers seem to love this track and others don't, as we are seeing some drivers in proper good form and others just not really having it, as That Man looking to fight quads takes that position back from him. That Man ends P5, provisional P4 once Outcast makes a stop. Still 15 laps on these medium compound tires as the Lone Fiber makes a stop, speeds in the pits, and calls it a day. Very nicely done from that Ferrari. As we look at the degradation of Outcast mediums, they look to have formed some tread on them. I think he might have found a new tire compound where instead of taking tread off the tires, it actually forms tread onto the tires as you drive them. Pirelli and Firestone should be taking notes. Looking ahead, Mitt still on the back end of F4. F4 just hanging on to the DRS of Joseph ahead. Hunting down the race leader is these two. It was 3 cars, now only 2. As Lone Fiber is our first DNF of the night. Heading through turn 1, there's no change in positions, but behind, Outcast has finally taken his car into the pits after 16 laps on the medium tire, which will leave him with 20 laps left to complete on the hards. I believe Outcast is in a very good position for a one-stop race. 16-20 split is certainly a decent enough split. 4 laps is the difference, but it's still a hell of a lot of laps to put on tires on a very curvy track. He will definitely not like those hards at the end of this race. Taylor McKenzie still in the DRS of his teammate, just pulling away. Drivers now settling into positions. Only ones unsettled are the top 3 as it stands. Overhead camera giving us a good comparison between the Ferrari and Alpine's racing line through that last chicane. F4 not looking to be at threat from Mint behind, as the top 3 once more go cleanly single file through turns 1. Not quite sure which information to go over now, as drivers have really settled into positions, and there isn't really a change of hands going on anywhere. Outcast did pit for the hards. We have 4 drivers that pit to mediums that will be looking to make a second stop. We have drivers on hard tires that will also be looking to make a second stop. So we won't have much going on until the next pit window. Biggest gain so far is from Jesus. He is up 4 positions, but the biggest loss being Outcast, who is on a 1 stop. It's down 3. Outcast looking to make up those positions after this next pit window. As we come through once more down the main straight, F4 is in a much better position to try and take the race lead. Joseph ahead with a ton of ERS to defend. We'll see if F4 can catch him in turn 1. F4 wants the inside. Joseph closes the door there, forcing F4 to the outside. And F4 has nothing to play with, as Joseph remains the race leader. Meant hoping that they would fight a little bit harder to put him back on scene for the race lead. 9 seconds is the gap now to P4 from P3. These 3 just absolutely pulling away throughout this race. Quads still hanging on to the back of That Man, slowly reeling him in, trying to catch on to P4. Our race noob critically has closed that 3-second gap to Taylor McKenzie, who's back in the DRS. As That Man has seemed to have had a moment. He has told me that he always makes 1 mistake per race, and we have finally seen that mistake. Quads now taking 4th position, And Baja looking at this excitedly with that man's confidence knocked, might be able to make up another position. That man looking to reel back in quads for his position back. Will certainly be flustered after that. iRacing Noob behind, looking for position, but up ahead. Joseph and F4 go side by side through turn 1 once more. F4 on a much better switchback this time around. As we will see just out ahead, it looks to be F4, but Joseph is right on his heels on the inside. We have seen Joseph absolutely blister out down the inside of that corner, and he does so once more, taking back the lead of the race. iRacing Noob too far behind from Taylor McKenzie to make a position, who has DRS from his teammate ahead to defend. That man is in the DRS of quads, so looking to hang on and take that position back. Coming through the field, the top 3 once more single file, 11 seconds away from P4 behind after that man made that mistake, is looking to fight quads. Looks he might have dirtied up his front left with a bit of blistering, maybe locked it and then spun it out. Not quite sure what had happened to that white Red Bull. Looking down the main straightaway, I don't think we're going to see a change in hands for the race lead. And I lied, as we see it P1 and P3 into the pits. F4 stays out. So we are seeing the next pit window happening here on lap 20. That is critical for F4, as he will be possibly undercut by both those drivers. That man looking for an easy overtake down the inside of quads, has it in the books through turn 1. Now critically, where does F4 and Mint come out of the pits? It looks like Mint did serve, or Mint and F4, Joseph and Mint. It looks like Mint is serving his 10-second time penalty, which will throw him off the podium. And as it stands, it would be that man on the podium, as we see Joseph making a big mistake out on track. Outcast overcutting that of Mint, who does not have to make another stop. He has him by 4 seconds as it stands. Joseph found himself on scene with the battle of the Aston Martin to the McLarens. At some point, iRacing Noob did get through Taylor McKenzie finally, and we did unfortunately miss it. That man, Joseph looking for an easy overtake on Taylor McKenzie. We haven't seen a move here yet. It is a down the inside, around the outside corner, so it's kind of tricky to pull off, but he holds out wheel to wheel and should have the move done. And is looking at getting iRacing next as F4 stays out. And that man is in. That man is in. Quads is in, and Baja, all 3 are in. As we now see Jesus in, and Baja with a 10-second time penalty. Driver struggling on speeding in the pit lane. This will now put iRacing Noob at threat to an undercut by Taylor McKenzie, who might get out of the DRS of iRacing Noob. Big jumble up behind. Mint critically came out ahead of this field of cars, even though he had that 10-second time penalty. That's very good for him. He even came out ahead of that man, so there was an 11-second gap between the two of them. Mint looking for a possible P3 still. Looking down the field, Joseph somehow quickly got through iRacing Noob and is looking to catch back up for a mega undercut on that of F4. Not quite sure when Joseph did get that move done on iRacing Noob. Looking in the back of the field, Quads did get undercut by that man, I think, and the gap grew a ways. Baja has found himself on scene with the Aston Martin and Red Bull for some more positions. As Jesus gets through Iceman and the Kick Sauber. Kick Sauber looking to be the only team to finish the race outside the points. As Taylor McKenzie and McLaren is into the pits. iRacing Noob is falling off the DRS of the car ahead now. Is F4 taking these hard tires to the end? Surely. He's missed the pit window now. I mean, he still could. He could be going for softs, too, to be fair. He's done 12 laps on these. If he did another 14, that'd be 26 laps on these hard tires. Is he going to the end? Surely not. Outcast, who is looking at the one stop, has found himself P4 ahead of Mint by 3 seconds still. iRacing Noob ahead of him as he hits a pit. This would put Outcast provisionally P3 unless Mint can catch him. Does F4 take... I don't think F4 takes... No, he's in. Can he get the car slowed? Ooh, he just barely got that car slowed down with a mega front lock off that lava-esque front left tire. So what tires have the drivers taken? Because I feel like F4 might have gone long to take the mediums. Can I find this higher one, please? There we go. Nope, he takes the hards. Our racing noob continuing on in P2 on 12-lap old hard tires. Not quite sure why he has chosen to stay out. I don't think he takes his hards to the end either on a one-stop. And I think he would have to make another pit stop, which would put him pretty far back off the field. F4 being undercut by Joseph quite mega as Iceman picks up a speeding in the pit lane penalty. We said that drivers are struggling with that so far, and it still remains true. I think we're going to see iRacing in this lap. Surely. Surely we do. We have F4 right on his tail. 7 seconds is the gap to the two of them, 2P4. He's giving F4 a little wiggle, I think, to show him that he's going to let him through or pit. F4 waiting impatiently for the Aston Martin to get out of the way. I think F4's chance at the win is over as the gap is now 5 seconds to Joseph. I think the tire advantage just won't be enough. As iRacing lets F4 through but doesn't go into the pit, so he is still staying out. That man on the back end of Mint, he has now picked up the pace and found himself on the back end of the Alpine. Heading into turn 1 is now a DRS train from P5 to P8. As a front lock from the Red Bull puts quads in position, knocks around That Man, and That Man falls out to P8 now after that move from the Aston Martin, as Baja actually picked up a move over him that was nicely weighted out from the Mercedes to pick up 2 positions off that contact between the two of them. Quickly though, they were out of DRS of Mint, and he has found himself back in position over Mint. Have that DRS. Mint needing to close the gap still to the Haas ahead. He has 12 laps to do so. Are we seeing iRacing Noob in this lap finally? As Taylor McKenzie is on the back end of the kickstopper for 1 point for P10. He gets the move done. As we do see iRacing Noob on lap 25 come into the pits. So where does he come out? I think he's coming out behind Taylor McKenzie? Behind Moski? It's one of the two. That moves Outcast to a provisional P3 with a pink and teal Alpine hunting him down. So iRacing Noob comes out of the pits. It does look to be a split between the McLarens that he comes out in. That is not as bad as I thought it would be, but it's still a big ass to... I mean, he only had hard tires. Okay. 11 laps on hards. I mean, I guess the mediums did fall off quickly for these guys, so he can really push on these hards now. 5 seconds to get to Jesus for P8. Mint and his rogues looking to hunt down Outcast, the only driver on a one-stop, and show him why it wouldn't work. Mint has been carrying that of the Mercedes Aston and what once was a Red Bull to this Haas. They are his barrage of arrows that will be unleashed once they catch up to him. Outcast, his hards just are not lasting through this race period. I said that you wouldn't like them at the end. Might be saving on the tires a bit as well. F4 closing the gap to Joseph now. Was once 5 seconds, is now 3.8. It's a very notable difference in time. Let's go ahead and after that last pit window, look at the current positions changed. Outcast, who was the biggest loser, now the biggest winner, but he has a fleet of 3 cars looking to hunt him down very, very soon. His Mint is within half a second of him. Baja up 3, Mint down 1 after that 10-second time penalty. That Man down 2 after being taken out by quads. Jesus up 3, iRacing up 1, Taylor out 1, and Moski up 2. Oops, I forgot to take that off. There we go. Mint hunting down Outcast very quickly now. Like I said, he has a barrage of arrows behind him to also take advantage over this one-stop Haas. I think had Mint not had that 10-second time penalty and carried these guys to the Haas, I think Outcast might have been in for P4. I can't really lie. I think the two behind might have been really carried by the DRS of Mint, as Outcast leaves no contest to the Alpine. Might be looking to also take advantage of the Alpine's DRS. You'll see if Baja is also able to pick up position. Baja will be looking to do so quite quickly if Outcast can't hang on to the back of Mint. Racing Noob, still 5 seconds off the back of Jesus, has not closed the gap to the McLaren. As Outcast is hanging on to the back of Mint, he is hanging out about 6/10 off, so he is able to get that job done. Frustratingly for that man, he is still 3 seconds off the DRS train, being carried by Mint. Baja, with the 10-second time penalty, would fall out quite far back to around P9, I think, after speeding in the pits. As this will be Outcast's first opportunity to take back the position over Mint. So you see Quad's going quite out on the inside, heading down the main straight. Not quite sure what the play was there, if his tires are overheating or not, but they go single file through turn 1. iRacing Noob closing the gap by a second after I called them out for the gap to Jesus not changing. He must have taken that one personally. That man also slowly creeping in on this DRS train. Outcast now 7/10 off of Mint. Might not have the tires to hang on to his DRS. Baja, like I said, will be looking to get by as quickly as possible to stay on to Mint's DRS if the Haas side cannot. 8/10 now the gap. His best opportunity might be the main straightaway if Outcast falls out of the DRS right now. As they head to the detection point, Outcast is at 9/10, so you will have the DRS. You will not have the drink, Kimmy. You will not have the drink. iRacing Noob 3.2 to Jesus has rapidly closed that gap. Baja losing out time to the car ahead, also has 7/10 of a gap to him. So Outcast closes it to half a second into turn 1. Might be looking at a accordion inchworm-esque DRS train closing and opening throughout the rest of the race. So Iceman is on the back of Moski for P11. Quite dirty is that Camo Cake Sauber trying to fight for P11. Think he should have the move in the books. He has a crap ton of ERS to deploy with DRS over his teammate. So he comes down the main straight, takes the outside, and his teammate's actually fighting it quite harshly, puts the pressure on him, puts him a bit on the outside as they go wheel to wheel on the exit of turn 1, heading into turn 2. It is Iceman ahead of Moski. For 3.1 to the car ahead. He is closing the gap still slowly with 6 laps left to go. 14 seconds is the gap from Mint to F4. Mint critically holding on to P3 after a 10-second time penalty. Very nicely done from the Alpine. Outcast and the Haas is ever so slowly creeping out of the DRS of Mint. Baja unable to hang on to the back end of Outcast through Sector 3. Quad's looking to pounce on Baja as soon as that opportunity comes. Outcast critically couldn't close the gap enough, and I think will be finally out of the DRS of Mint. This will put a huge mix-up for P4. As he is really pushing down through Sector 1 to hang on to that DRS, and when the time comes, he does close it back into 8/10. Might be running a bit higher wings than Mint. We did state that Mint looked to have had a lot of top speed down the main straightaway. I think that might be what we're seeing now, as it looks to be Outcast with a low fuel light. Notably, there's been no safety cars throughout this race. No other drivers are looking to have the low fuel light on as it stands, so no one really taking the gamble. So we come down the main straight. Baja a second out from the car ahead. Really can't hang it out for Sector 3. Quad's looking to put a little bit of pressure on, sticking his nose ever so slightly down the inside into turn 1. As iRacing Noob finally has gotten through Jesus down the main straightaway. We said that that gap was closing, and he definitely had the tire advantage and the ability to push on his tires a lot better than the McLaren. P8 for him as it stands, with Baja's time penalty will put him P7. That man, after that contact from the Aston Martin, is still P7. And Quads is still looking at Baja for a position. Baja just barely now outside the DRS of Outcast. So Outcast comes down the back straight. He has the DRS and Baja does not. That is very, very critical to Baja's race and ability to defend from Quads behind. As we come down the main straight, I think it might be both drivers without the DRS. Outcast on the one stop, looking to have more pace than Baja on the two stop at the end of their stints. As we come through, Outcast does not have DRS and Baja does not, as Quads makes his way through the Mercedes quite easily. Baja sends it down the inside and looks to not be able to stick it. Is sticking it. They are side by side. Quad sends a little push and Baja tucks back in behind through turns 2 and 3 as he closes it through the banked corner. And Baja now P6. Quads, notably through all of that, closed the gap to Outcast by over a second. I think Outcast might have had a mistake, so Outcast lost a second, 2 minutes ahead, and Quads behind. So I think that was something on Outcast's end to lose out that second gap. Will put himself at threat to these two behind. I honestly can't believe we haven't seen a safety car this race. As a big lock from the front of Outcast, we can take a look at his tire degradation. It's not as bad as his mediums were at the end of that stint, but it still doesn't look like a fun car to drive at the moment. As we come down the main straight, Quads off the back end by half a second at the beginning of turn 1. Does not have the pace to make a move as of yet. F4 still closing the gap to Joseph ahead. Gap last time we checked 3.2, now 2.8. Closed at 4/10 within like 4 laps. It's just not going to be enough. F4 definitely has the pace over Joseph, but Joseph might have picked the better strategy here today with that undercut. Quads hanging on to the back of Outcast. Baja trying to find the pace as well. So we enter the closing stages of the race. Quad somehow a second off of Outcast. Must have had a mistake there. Baja back onto the back end of him. Notably as well, that man has had enough and has put himself back on scene for revenge on Quads. That man with the pace to get through these drivers has 3 laps to do so. As Iceman pit for softs and sets the fastest lap of the race in P12. Now we have a true fight for P4 once again with a 4-car DRS train that is just a slinky of fun through the track. As Jesus comes into the pits, has a wide gap over his teammate, might be looking to take the fastest lap away from Iceman in the kick sour. Coming through the track, there is no overtaking opportunities for any of these 4 cars running in this DRS train. As I lied, as Outcast goes wide and that man goes wide. What have you done once more, that man? And it looks like iRacing Noob has also gotten through that man. Possibly yes, no, maybe so. Yes, he has. What has that man done once more? It was monkey see, monkey do from him. As Outcast went off, that man did. Not quite sure if there was a duck crossing the track or something, but both of them reacted like so. Baja now P5 following quads in P4. Baja still will lose out down to P8 with his time penalty. Jesus also might have been able to, yeah, I think Jesus shouldn't have stopped. He would have picked up a position over Baja, but instead has opted for the fastest lap. As That Man works his way back through iRacing Noob into turn 1, iRacing Noob giving him a tap on the back through the corner. My goodness, what was that from the drivers? Jesus could no, Jesus can't close up the gap in time. Yeah, that was a mistake. I don't think he should have stopped. I really don't think so. I think he's thrown out of position with that, as Taylor McKenzie also comes in the pit to possibly take the fastest lap from his teammate. Baja on the back end of quads without the DRS to defend. Baja looking for the on-track position, but won't have it after his time penalties as Joseph starts his final lap of the race. These two going too wide. Outcast looking for an on-track and off-track position. Goes to the outside of quads, doesn't have it. Quads holds out to an on-track P5, but would be a P4. iRacing Noob 2/10 off the back end of That Man, looking to take back P7 after That Man had that mistake. He won't have the DRS to defend as the driver is trying to break the slipstream into turn 1. It looks to be iRacing Noob in the background getting pinched by That Man, loses his front wing. Both of these drivers just absolutely fed up with this race so far. As now it is quads in P4 with Baja in P5. Joseph ahead, so looking to round off the race with a comfortable victory after that second round of stops, almost lapping that. Taylor McKenzie did lap both kick sours as well as F4. Almost that of Mint. F4, very well done from him, almost closing that gap to Joseph. Did a very good job finding the race pace to do so. Should definitely be proud of that one nonetheless. As Joseph rounds the final bank corner, and he will cross the line a Victor and Zandvoort with F4, a valiant effort to try and take that victory away. Trying to beat him out on raw pace rather than strategy. Mint 15 seconds behind, takes P3, but critically, that 15 seconds should have only been 5 or 6 after he had a 10-second time penalty. Very well done from him with that penalty to come home P3. Quads defending from on-track position from Baja and Outcast for P4. Very nicely done from him. Baja comes home P8-ish with iRacing Noob taking position over That Man after being pinched into the wall. Jesus, who could have had P8, opted for a fastest lap and will come home P9 rather than P8 with his teammate behind in P10. Both kick silvers finishing the race lapped and in 11th and 12th out of the points. And that is Zandvoort once Taylor McKenzie crosses the line 20-some seconds later. And there we almost had it. We almost did it. There we go. Wonder who the game's going to give driver of the day to. Outcast the only driver to do one stop. Props to him for that one. Just pulling up the Discord to see what people are saying. Mirage calling Quads a prick for taking out That Man. Joseph apparently ran Sector 2 and Sector 3 at the end of the race on a pop tire. Okay. Driver of the day did go to iRacing Noob at the end. Jesus taking the fastest lap instead of P8, with most overtakes coming from Mint. iRacing Noob, who started P10, finishes P5. Well done from him. Outcast P7 to P4 on the one-stop strategy. Very well done from him. Moski also on a one-stop. Not quite sure how we missed that, but he did very well to get P13 to P11. On the one-stop strategy. A couple of drivers opting for the three-stop to try and take the fast lap. Yeah, drivers certainly not happy with some of the contact. Joseph driving on 92% in the closing stages. 77 also driving on 92% after he was overcut, saying it's controller wear. I call that a skill issue. And that has been Zandvoort in DLR with our race winner once again being Joseph. Should take, I think, does he take the WDC? I don't think so. I think he missed a couple races and won't quite yet.